So, when I did the live stream, basically looking back on the fact that next month officially begins 10 years of this whole Mecha Sally thing that we went through back in 2011 to about 2013 or 2012, somebody mentioned in the live chat, and as well as somebody else also mentioned in one of the Facebook group pages, that basically the story never got a proper conclusion, which I think I did allude to in the live chat. But why didn't it get a proper conclusion? Some may ask. Well, I've talked about this before and others have talked about it. And it's real simple. The reason it never got a proper conclusion was due to the fact that, as I mentioned in the live stream, Ian Flynn and, in a way, Archie Comics didn't count on the fact that Ken Penders was going to, drop a lawsuit on them for royalties that he felt he was owed. And the reason he basically put this lawsuit on them was for the fact that basically a lot of his characters were still being utilized in the story and he wasn't getting paid for them. And then later on, a lot of other freelance writers and artists, followed suit and basically did the same thing. They basically sued Archie Comics and, Archie Comics primarily because they felt they weren't getting any royalties or anything for their works that were still being referenced or utilized in the book as well. And so what happened? Well, basically, because of the fact that they already had a crossover plan between Mega Man and Sonic, because both Capcom and Sega were licensing the comic book rights to Archie at the time, even though they had a comic book a crossover, I should say, planned, for the characters, which I felt was going to be, which I believe, honestly, was going to be its own individual book, they had to basically rectify. They had to basically, well, not rectify, but they basically had to redirect things, and thus they took the crossover, which again I believe was going to be its own book, and make it part of the main books of both the main Mega Man book and the main Sonic book, as well as the Sonic spin-off book universe, and I think even X, I think Sonic X as well, and go from there. That's what they did. They didn't, just continue on with maybe the possible plan of them being their own individual stories. They said, nope, we're going to basically add them in to the main book. We're going to make them part of the main books and the spin-offs. And that's what they did. And the reason they did that was because Ian Flynn and Archie Comics needed an out when it came to this lawsuit. And the best way they could get that out was to utilize the crossover as a means to an end. And that means to an end was basically by having at the end of the book, Sonic's world get softly retconned and rebooted to what it was before the comic ended. And in story, it was all due to the fact that Eggman basically just lost his marbles. He basically just said, nope, not again. I'm not having this happen again. No more. You're not going to screw me over, Sonic. And he basically screwed up Sonic's way of restoring the world. And because of this, the Mecha Sally Arc never really got a proper conclusion. And it was only thanks to basically Archie Sonic Online, which is a fan-made based comic book series and continuation of the Archie book, did it get a proper conclusion. Yes, it did continue the possibility of the Krazood being one of the main antidotes to restore Sally, which it did, or which it helped do, I should say. But basically, the Archie Sonic Online book was to, like I said, continue where the story left off. And they're continuously doing that, even with their take on Sonic Universe, on what's going on with Bunny Rabbit. Because in the story, at the end of one of the original Sonic Universe books, where it was based around Mighty and Ray, it's alluded to at the end of that Bunny went to her uncle to get her legs and her arm replaced with cybernetics so she wouldn't feel useless. And what happened? Did we get a proper conclusion to that? No. It's taken the Archie Sonic Online team to conclude that story. And that's not all. That's not all. Basically, like I said, it takes them to conclude everything, and what they're doing with Sally is they're giving her proper closure to what's going on. She basically, in story, feels guilty about what she did, but she has her friends consulting her and basically saying, look, that wasn't, or consoling her, I should say, and telling her, you did what any of us would do in your place. You didn't goof up. You didn't make a mistake. You didn't fail. You did what any of us would do in your place. You put the priority of the planet and the freedom of everybody first. That's what you did. I mean, heck, you have Knuckles even acknowledging to her about what happened to him when he became Urajak and kind of relating to her on that level. So, so the thing is, basically in the end, even though the Mecha Sally Arc, as I've said before, had the potential to be good until it got repetitive, the reason it never got a proper conclusion was because of the behind-the-scenes lawsuits that Ken Penders and others went, through towards Archie Comics and Sega. Sega only being involved not just because of the book, but because of the fact that BioWare, who was basically in conjunction with Sega on the Dark Brotherhood RPG of Sonic, didn't get permission, basically snuck behind Ken's back, and got information about, what he was doing to basically base the game off of. He found out about this and basically sued them, along with EA, because EA was one of the distributors. So basically, he sued them. And, that basically, along with, like I said, Sega being involved somewhat with the Archie lawsuit, was enough for, Archie and Ian Flynn to say, you know what, let's take that crossover, let's add it into the main books, and we'll use that to basically get us out of this situation. And that's what they did. So, if anybody's wondering why the Mecha Sally Arc never really got a proper ending, there you go. But if you do want a proper ending, I should say, even though it's not really official, check out ArchieSonicOnline.com and you'll get your proper ending there. But I just thought I'd come on here and follow up on the live stream and let people know why, to kind of answer that question, why it didn't get a proper ending. And let me know what your thoughts are down below. Comment if you like. Get vaccinated. Stay safe, guys. But yeah, that's the reason it never got a proper ending. You can thank the lawsuits and the fact that Archie Comics and Ian Flynn basically didn't count all their eggs before they hatched, before Ian went forward with what he was doing. So let me know what your thoughts are down below. Comment if you like. And I'm out.